Yo, yo. What up, Comic Sense community, crowd, crew? Miss you X, and we're back again with a long awaited but much needed episode of Comic Sensory Perception. In short, CSP. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know how we do. We're going to do some shop talk today, kicking about all the things going on in the past few weeks in comic books. Man, it has been a while. It has been a while since I've dropped a video. Feeling some type of way. Want to shout out everyone who's in the room. Got a special guest today, J Rob. Currently having some technical difficulties, but as soon as he get those resolved, he will be in the stream. In the meantime, I got this really cool light here that's lighting up the room, and I want to keep that on, pay some bills. So then I'm gonna need y'all to like and follow Comic Sense on Facebook, and join our Comic Sense Facebook group. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us at Comic Sense on Instagram. Find us on the Twitter. Y'all know how we do. We're also on Threads. You can also check out IssueX, ISHUE.X on Instagram as well. But y'all know how we do. I'm going to go ahead and pull up your comments, get right to it. We like this to be as interactive as possible, sometimes very organic. We go with the flow. Shout out to Peter Maresca. Shout out to Jerry Whitman. Shout out to everyone's in the room. Don't have to watch live. Of course, we appreciate live participation, as we are going to certainly address comments that you might have, topics that you want to bring up. We like to be organic, as I said before, but again, don't have to watch it live. You can watch it on YouTube. If you are watching it live on Facebook, hop on over to YouTube, find this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down, give it a view. You can stay on YouTube if you want. You can come on back over to Facebook. That will really help us out. Getting ready to do this thing regularly, once again, by hook or by crook. If I'm going to be dolo, I'll be dolo. No problem. Going to send out all the invites, though. Going to start involving the Comic Sense community, looking for people who want to come on as a guest every week, want to kick it, talk about their comic experience, talk about anything in particular. It's what we do. Again, we have J Rob in the house today. As soon as J Rob manages to resolve his technical difficulties, I think he's on an Apple, so he's got to download Chrome and a bunch of things that you should have had done. J Rob, hope you're paying attention. Things that should already be done, but talk to J Rob. Wanted to have J Rob come on the show earlier in the week. Called him up. We couldn't really connect. Ended up playing phone tag. Talked yesterday, day before yesterday, can't remember which, and decided we're just going to finalize it, have him come on today. We're going to kick it with some stuff, kick it about some stuff, kick it with you. So what's going on? Comic Sense crowd, community, and crew. I see J Rob at the bottom of my screen, which means before I can even get into a thing, J Rob is about to jump in. So without further ado, since I see J Rob, let me go ahead and bring the big homie. Listen, J Rob and I go back to our youth, to playing chase and hide and go seek at we're talking pre-elementary, we go back. So this should be a great show. We collected comic books together for a very long time ago. Should be a really, 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 really great show. We're going to talk about all the things. So without further ado, J Rob is in the house. Shout out to you. We are live. We've been 7 in the room. We're going live to Comic Sense and YouTube right now. I was just telling them how far back we go. Comic books as kids, playing chase, hide and go seek, well before high school. We talking kids.
Yeah.
We talking before kids was interested in jumping off the porch and doing the stuff that you do off the porch type. kids. We was little. Shout out to you, J Rob. Shout out to the people.
What up?
Can't hear you.
I don't know why. Let's see. Mic and cam.
J Rob got all kind of technical difficulties going on. You're muted, bro.
Yeah, I'm not muted now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. Keep talking. 12 people in the room. Shout out to the 12 people in the room. Sean Mallory, hey, yo, and my best Scott Hall voice. Peter Maresca can hear you. Okay, keep talking, Jay. Maybe it's just on me.
All right.
I can't hear you. Y'all can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
So everybody hears Jay but me.
Apparently.
What is that about?
I don't know.
Do I have Jay muted? 19 people in the room. Shout out to 19 people in the room chilling. We got to figure this out real quick. Why I can't hear Jay, but everybody else can hear Jay. What is that about? Sean hears me. So everybody hears me. Everybody hears Jay. Jay, you hear me, but I can't hear you. All right, let's try this. Now talk.
Can you hear me now? Nope. Are your headphones on?
Jay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you now. I don't know what that was about. I unplug my mic, plug my mic back in, hear you now. So again, just introduce Jay. Jay and I go way back. We were collecting comic books. I remember going through boxes of comics on my porch back in Ken Bailey back in the day. So introduce yourself. Shout out to the people.
Well, hello, Jason. That's about it, man.
All right. So you and I
see me on the stream.
Say again.
I said I'm sure a majority of people have seen me on the stream before.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You've been on the show. You've been around. Very interesting, right? I kind of been watching your journey and kind of like living vicariously through that. Because I remember a couple years ago when you started popping up again on Comic Sense, and like I watched this, you know what I mean? I watched you kind of obviously we did this when we were kids, you know what I mean? And I'm assuming that there was a large period of time where you were out of comics altogether.
Yeah, probably 2 decades at least.
Yeah. Okay. So when did you get back in?
It's either right before the pandemic or when after the pandemic started.
Okay. Okay. Because I remember I started to see, we'd always obviously been in contact on social media and what have you, but I actually started to see you in Comic Sense. I remember when you came on the stream the first time and actually bought a book. I'm like, oh, J-Rob is, you know what I mean? I kind of had an idea. I could kind of gauge that you hadn't been, you know, collecting for some time. And I want to venture to say that at most collectors, right, especially those that have been collecting for kids, we get in, we're in for a long time, we get out, we find our way back. We get out for whatever reason, right? Financial, or we just kind of lose interest, or we're doing other things in life. And then we find our way back. Same with me. You know what I mean? I found my way back a few years before obviously you did. In the I don't know, 2016-ish or something like that. I was kind of fully by 2018, I was like I'd never stopped. You go back and you buy everything. You buy everything that you missed over 2 decades. Yeah. So how was that experience for you though? Like describe it to me. How does it feel? Right? Because we were in. It didn't even matter, right? If it was a comic book and it was available, we wanted it. I remember we had the Gold Key, we had, you know, the Human Fly, we had everything.
I can remember walking all the way down to Queen City Comics.
Walking, yo, bro.
I can remember, bro. There was a Rite Aid right over by
with the sports cars on Bailey.
Yes.
Yeah.
There, you know, you got they had the magazine racks and they had some of the spinner racks. Like, you know, I remember
spinner rack. Superstop had not Superstop. Was it Superstop that had the spinner rack, or was it the one further up the block, closer towards the old Kensington Bridge?
It wasn't Superstop. I don't think Superstop had books at all that I can remember.
It might have been the one closer towards the bridge.
Yeah.
Western New York. We talking Western New York, Peter. Yeah. So we're from the spinner rack era, where you could get newsstand copies before we knew them as newsstands, off of spinner racks. Walking to Queen City. Yeah, man. So talk to us real quick. Just tell me. I would like to know. 2018, it's the pandemic. You know, the one positive thing for the comic community is that the pandemic it brought people back to comics, and it created new comic collectors.
Yeah.
Ian and Rich, for example, were our pandemic. They didn't collect comics at all prior to the pandemic. It was during the pandemic that they found comic books. So talk to me a little bit about this experience. I want to feel it. Like, what was it? What made you jump off the porch and be like, you know what?
I wasn't really, you know, I was working remotely, wasn't really doing a whole lot else. And I had always seen, like, you know, posts from your pages that pop up on my timeline I'm like, what is this? What do they got going on? Then I see next thing I see, you either talking about books, then selling books. Then one day I was just like, let me just tune in to one of these live streams. So I saw what it's about. And just listening to, the talk that was being talked about things that, from yesterday or yesteryear rather.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, I remember this. Or, somebody would be going down memory lane, like, oh, this character in this storyline. I'm like, I remember reading that. Oh, so that's basically what it was. And like I said, I still, just because you may not see me doesn't mean I'm not, keeping tabs and seeing what's going on. And then, like I said, I was watching from the background. Then I'm just like, you know what? Let me grab this book. I don't know what the first book I bought from y'all was, but I do recall, and this probably wasn't the first book, but like with Grimm and 8 Billion Genies, I do remember, jumping in on those early on. Like, oh, it's some just starting out, listening to the premise and reading about, the synopsis of the story. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Let me look into this. But it was more just me watching from the sideline, doing a little research, background research.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this happens to be pretty lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's also something I was interested in. So I just, picked up a new hobby. That's all. One of the many hobbies I picked up during the pandemic.
So your story is interesting, and it's interesting that you say lucrative, right? Peter says the pandemic made all the books I put off getting out of reach, get out of reach for a minute. So it's interesting, right? Because the pandemic. So I've done a video on this, and I call this era from 2018 to present a comic book renaissance, right? A lot of anomalous things started to take place in 2018. You had what I'm going to call just, I don't want to say a perfect storm of events, but you know how sometimes, for instance, we didn't know that by discovering transistor technology, it would lead to the CPU, but we couldn't get the CPU without the transistor technology. You create one thing for one purpose, or something happens for one reason, and then another thing happens for another reason, and another thing happens for another reason. And next thing you know, you have a stew. This, and you may not know this, right? Because coming out of the 90s, I don't know if you collected in the 90s.
No,
there was a
90s I stopped.
So there's a big rain cloud over the 90s known as the bust, right? The comic industry bottomed out. It was a big bust. Sports card industry bottomed out. Comic industry bottomed out. Everybody had diamond accounts. Everybody can get a diamond account. Everybody thought they were going to put their kids through college with these chromium covers and these holographic covers, and print runs were ridiculous. And there was a situation where dealers and it also contributed to Marvel's bankruptcy as well, where dealers and the numbers that they were ordering versus what were being reported weren't reconciling. And what we had was too many comic books. It's the reason why 90s newsstand comics are so valuable, because there's so many direct markets. Again, 30 years later, we find that there are now value in 90s comics. Peter says it right, Death of Superman, etc. So we had this boom in the night, this bust. It bottomed out. For a long time, nobody could care about a 90s book outside of, it was really cool, right? Like if you go back and you look at the 90s comic books, it's so cool. There's so many cool things. Not a lot of substance in a lot of cases, but so many pop-up covers, glow-in-the-dark covers. You got it all, right? But 2018, right? So what happened was, going into the 2000s, especially 2000 through 2000, say 12 or 13, right? You have mega key books. Again, people were uncertain. They were unsure. These are the era where you get your Miles Moraleses, your Knicks, your Blue Marvels, your major keys, modern era keys. People were uncertain. So comic books weren't flying off the shelves. So print runs weren't as high either. Right. You look at a first appearance of Damian Wayne, which is 2006. And that book sat at under $20 until just recently. And now you go try to buy it and you're not going to pay that. So at around 2018, we had some real anomalies happen, right? Leading up to that, people started buying second prints and subsequent prints as variant covers. And this created a market for these covers leading into the pandemic. There was already a market for it. I think the market is still there now. I don't think it was as great as it was leading into the pandemic, but there was this market for it. And then you get into the pandemic, and the word on the street is, people with money outside of the comic community started investing for we're going to stay politically correct in high-end blue chip comics. And if we're going to be not politically correct, we'll say to hide their loot. So then Silver Age started disappearing, dried up. Very hard to find Silver Age. Add to this Marvel being successful on TV and on film. All of these little events, right, coming out of the 2010s, Marvel had become really successful. Phase 1 was really, really successful. So now you're adding another reason for people to purchase, people from outside of the market, creating a demand. So now you have a situation where in a lot of cases, supply doesn't meet demand. Then Peter Russell said he thinks the cinematic world was huge. The image boom and bust too. Yeah, we can talk about that too. But then you get a book like Something is Killing the Children in the summer of 2019, which I haven't seen in the history of comics. I haven't seen a book do what Something is Killing the Children did in the period of time that it did in the entire history. We talking Walking Dead, probably the most important independent comic of the 21st century. At least certainly the Grail independent comic of the 21st century. But for an indie book to do what Something is Killing the Children did, and then sustain. So you have anomaly on top of anomaly on top of anomaly. And I'd been saying up until recently, up until this most recent recession, 2018 through I'd say 2021 was the time to be collecting comics. As a matter of fact, and I'm gonna turn the mic over to you in a second. As a matter of fact, I remember at one point in time from 2020 through 2021, there wasn't a week or seldom a week went by where there wasn't a book released that stayed cover price by the next day. Every week. And I'm not talking $100. I'm talking a $3 book is a $15 book the next day. At least one a week. At any rate, you came back, and many people came into the game at the right time. That renaissance, 2018 was really 2018, 2019, 2020. Many people came back. A lot of quick flips, a lot of books that saw value very quickly. I do think now that I look back at it retrospectively, the influx of collectors from outside of the collecting community stimulated that type of investor value behind some of these books for sure. Hold on, I want to make sure I'm paying attention to the people. But go ahead and take over the mic, man.
So it's funny that you said about, the people who were not into comics jumping in. During the pandemic, there were, like you said, a lot of people who were taking their money out of, the stock market. And what they wanted to do was they were reinvesting in more tangible commodities, such as real estate. You had a lot of people coming from California, Colorado, New York, places that had high cost of living. And what they do was they were taking their money out of those places and they were coming down to Florida, like where I was at, and they were buying up all the real estate. Because again, now I have a tangible, commodity, as well as I don't have to worry about my money being stuck in this market, which is, as we saw during that time frame, there was a huge dip. You came down there, and then they saw their money just increasing. Comic books just happened to be another way or means for them to take their money and to grow that money and not have to worry about, well, is the stock market gonna, dip some more today? No, I just go out here and I'll buy these books that are, popular. They're actually worth something, and I'll just hold on to all the stuff. Because, like you said, you look around now, and a lot of those books from certain eras, you can't find them because they got them and they're horrible.
They got them, and you know what is it? I think it's even more than that too, right? Like, people with money know how to keep their money, right? They're going to lease a car, right? They're not going to invest in something with depreciating value. When you drive off the lot, they're going to lease the cars. So they know how they're going to buy a collectible car, right? They know how to keep their money. So I'll take it a step further and say, well, it's very easy for somebody who wants to, have some loot, not necessarily have it liquid, not necessarily have to pay taxes on things, to hide that money in a Picasso.
Mm-hmm.
If you can afford the Picasso, right? Like, the Picasso is going to be the Picasso. Amazing Fantasy 15 is going to stay Amazing Fantasy 15. And if you can afford Amazing Fantasy 15 for $100K, whatever it is you're paying for that grade, you're not going to lose that value. You don't even have to liquidate it if you want to do business.
Just hold on to it.
No one has to liquidate a Picasso. If I want to do business with you and I have a Picasso, do I really have to liquidate it when you kind of know what's up? You already know what's up. If you can afford the Picasso, then you know why I have the Picasso. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to liquidate that. I don't got a broker tax. Yo,
nope.
I got this Picasso. This is what you have a service. Here's what I'm going to provide you for the service. Because we're on the same level. Same with Amazing Fantasy 15. A Marvel Comics #1. We're talking golden age there, but a Marvel Comics #1. Any of these, the Marvel big, how many is it? What's the Marvel big? What is it? Was it ASM, Fantastic Four #1, Avengers #1, Daredevil #1 now, X-Men #1. Any of them Marvel big fives, right? You're not going to lose money on those. If you invest in that, if you invest in a Journey and a Mystery, you can go on eBay and count. If you buy the highest grade Journey and a Mystery, I think it's like a 9.4. I think there's only one. Next is like an 8.0. You're not losing money. I don't care if the market bottoms out. You didn't lose your money by investing in that. So I think that has something to do with it too, because Silver Age dried up, man. It dried up. Bronze, Copper. Go get a Hawk 181 in high grade.
Yeah, you're going to be paying for it.
Really paying for it in high grade. You're really going to be dropping some loot. But though that's probably the most important Bronze Age book next to Giant Size X-Men #1. Those two would be neck and neck, in my opinion, as far as the biggest book, by far the biggest books coming out of the Bronze Age. But Bronze Copper is kind of where it's at. If you look at the prices you've been buying, blue chip books, you've been buying Bronze Copper. You're not paying today's prices was not yesterday's prices. So go on.
Go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I was gonna say, even though there's still a dip right now, you can hop on some things, but the thing, it's not just can you hop on and get it, it's the availability. If it's not available, guess what? If nobody's selling it.
Availability, collectability. Peter was very disappointed with NYCC this year. Very little raw Silver Age. Listen, because of what Jay and I are talking about that happened with Silver Age and with people coming from outside of the medium, into the community, purchasing. And it's interesting, right? This is something I've touched on before, right? When we were buying comics in the 20th century, right? We didn't know that Captain America was going to be our children's Mickey Mouse. No clue, right? We didn't know that the comic books that we're collecting at one point in time would be looked at as artwork. Actual art. Not, I don't mean artwork like an artist drawing. I mean actual art. Amazing Fantasy 15 is in the Smithsonian. Like actual pieces of art, American pop culture, art history. We didn't know this. How could we have known? We didn't think like this. Before us, the generations before us didn't even buy bags and boards.
and they rolled up in their back pocket as they ride in their little scooters and bikes and skateboards down the street. Like, hey, Johnny, let's read this. You see the latest Spider-Man?
Samferado sitting in the airport coming back from NYCC. While you're sitting in the airport, Samferado, you should let me send you a link and join J-Rob and myself in this stream. You can by all means do that. That haven't been said. Yeah, man. So it's really telling, you know, when Peter says he's looking for raw books, because for me, I would suggest affordable Silver Age. I don't care if it's common. If it's affordable, when you see people selling 3 Silver Age books, especially if it's in any of the big 5 Marvel Silver Age books, 3 copies for 5 or 6, I'd buy that up. I would buy it up. Excuse me, put it in the box. Right now, I'd love to stumble across a bronze copper collection, because that's this generation Silver Age. Because again, as I was saying, like, we didn't know these characters now are American pop culture and history. I often say everybody and their mother knows obscure Marvel characters now, whether they ever picked up a comic book or not. They know these obscure Marvel characters like we knew Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Mickey, Daisy. Like, they know these characters. Hold on, I'm just going to keep reading the comments.
Yeah.
Peter Maresca says original art pages are fire. Sam is telling us CGC has grown so much, the booth was absolutely swamped all show. Raw books are going to be tucked away in people's PC. Raw silver in particular. Bronze copper. Get it now. Get it now.
But, you know, to Sam's point, like he said, dealers they paid a certain price. You know, let's just say they paid $100 for a book. Being with them at a dip currently, and people wanting to pay less, and the book's going for less, no dealer is going to take a loss. Well, not to say no, but majority of dealers, no, they're not going to take a loss purposefully. So they're going to just hold on to the books. But then back to the point you made about, we didn't know when we were kids, when we were collecting, like, this here is going to be something big. But now that we have that age, that experience under our belt, like, and I've told you this, I don't know how many times, pay attention to what these kids,
what the kids do,
looking at.
Yeah.
Like
always.
That show that Sam Ferraro was on, when he was like, his daughter was like, that's the real Spider-Man. My nephews, all them and all their little friends, Moon Girl, Kamala Khan, Static Shock, the Static Shock animated series from the 90s. They love these shows and these characters.
Listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you think you know. I don't care. If you are not paying attention to what the youth are doing, first of all, they dictate trends. If you have kids, you spend all your money on them. Mm-hmm. Most of what you spend your money on, if you have kids, is the things that they are interested in. The youth. This world is not, I'm 48. It ain't my world. I'm riding along. It ain't your world. It's not. If you're past 30 years old, that don't mean there's no place for you in the world. The world, the decision makers aren't in their 30s, but the makers are kids coming out of college, going right into the workforce. These are the makers in the world. These are the movers and shakers. These are the trendsetters. The generations younger than them dictate trends. They dictate trends.
It don't matter if you like it as a 40-plus-year-old person, 30. It don't matter if you like it. If you're doing it for investment, you want to get ahead of that. So pay attention to the ones who are going to be the ones who are purchasing the books later. Yep. Who are going to they are setting the baseline of, this is what's popular, this is what's valuable, because this is what we like. So trying to, it's Peter Parker or nothing.
Pete Maresca just said what I was going to say. Didn't we like Transformers when we was kids? Didn't we just buy Transformers a week ago?
what the amount of fanfare and excitement when they announced they were coming out with, the Transformers, G.I. Joe, the Boy Rivals. What was everybody in the community like? I can't wait for this to come out.
Didn't we like the Turtles? All of these things that our parents was like, yo, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
It's always ridiculous.
Yep. This is what are you doing? I'm not paying no $20 for this. I actually had a conversation with my mother because Mike, shout out to Mike at Collectibles Galore. He had a Megatron for sale for like $1,200. And I was like, let me look this up and see what the original price was. It was like $20.
You got them because I was gonna buy it.
No, I didn't buy it.
He has a complete Megatron.
Yeah, and so
the stock, he got the Walter P38,
everything.
The toy that should have never been sold to kids. Like he got the stock, he got the joint.
I talked to my mother and I'm like, oh, mother, blah. Remember I asked you for a certain toy? It was like you were, I couldn't have it or whatever. We couldn't afford it, whatever the case is. It was only $20. I was like, so I pull it up and I show her, $1,200. I was just messing with her, but hey, I was like, that was investing in my future or your future. That might have that $1,180 in profit might have been what I needed to keep from putting you in the nursing home.
Yeah, but can you blame mom? No, $20.
I know
$20 was a lot in
a lot of money back then.
Like a lot of 20. Listen, man, Voltron was like 30. The metal joint, and that was like getting $100 toy today. Like for real. Like Voltron, I remember because I had it. It was like getting $100 toy to get a 30. Man, what was think about it. The aircraft carrier wasn't $100.
No, that thing was over 100. That thing was probably like 200.
Was it
back then? Yes.
Back then?
Yes. That thing was expensive. I'm about to pull it up though and make sure.
I was about to say I don't because I remember Nintendo was only $100.
I definitely remember that. I remember Atari was $50 when it first came out. And Nintendo was like $99 when they initially.
Yeah, when it first came out, which was expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember 80s, man. $20. Listen, you could go to the store with $10 and get you several G.I. Joe action figures, couple He-Man figures if you so choose. You couldn't get them both. But you can get a couple G.I. Joes. You can get a couple He-Man. Now
they're only like $2.
Now $10, you can't get a He-Man figure, even the new joints. They're like $19.99. Peter Maresca's looking to sell a G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
As soon as I start typing it into Google, what comes? I didn't even finish it. I was like, original price of GI and aircraft carrier comes up. So you got plenty of people looking at this stuff.
Listen, Eric, I could get a pack of Newports for like $2.15. Well, actually, it's probably cheaper than that in the 80s because this was in the 90s, actually. So it was probably cheaper than that in the 80s. But you're right, man. You could remember when you could just put $10 in your tank and be good? Man, are we old? But getting back though, right? So, yeah, man. Children, teenagers, young adults, I pay attention to them. I've been paying attention to them for a long time. I listen to what they have to say. I'm not so arrogant as to believe that I can't learn from them, especially when it comes to trends, because they dictate these trends. They tell me, I watch Demon Slayer right now because they told me it was good. I need to see what the hype is about. They told me it's dope. Okay, let me go take a look. Sean says, I had an adult tell me around 8 or 9 years old that I should buy 2 of my Star Wars action figures, one to play with, one to keep in the package. This is around The Empire Strikes Back, and I thought that was the most insane thing I ever heard. Yeah, try to tell a kid, don't open your toy. Yo, you shouldn't open that toy. Just save it. You're 9. Just save it and keep it in perfect condition till you're 29. Like, it's never gonna happen. They're like, what? Yo, man, my dad is crazy. My dad told me not to open this toy. He doesn't understand what toys are meant for. He forgot how to play. Better watch Peter Pan.
They're just old. They don't know what they're talking about.
Better go back and watch Peter Pan. Eric Tadaro says, that's how I feel. I did all my Spawn original action. Listen, By the time I was in high school, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, speaking to both of your points. By the time I was in high school, I went from Jay. You remember what we did? Like we used to fold comics up, put them in our pocket, take them to church, to your dad's church. Like, yo, just fold them right in half. I remember Spider-Man and Wolverine. I just fold it right in half, put them in the inside pocket, throw them in the back pocket. We roll them up. By the time I was in high school, everything was mint. I discovered bags and boards. I went from making bags out of saran wrap in my kitchen, like literally taking saran wrap and wrapping it around the book and taping it and leaving it open and taking it in and out, to buying bags and boards by the time I was in high school and everything was mint. Speaking to Sean Mallory's point and Eric Chidaro's point. So by the time I got to high school, I was already on this. I was just caught up in the 90s craze.
Not just, and I remember it vividly. My bad.
It's got a hologram on the cover. It's going to be worth thousands.
I remember coming over your house. Not only was that the first time I had seen comic books in bags, but when I go to take all night, you're like, oh no, you got to be careful with the book. We can't just, be, flipping the books around and this and that. And before there were long and short boxes, the books were bagged. There were no boards.
No, I didn't have boards at the time.
No boards, but they were all in little cardboard boxes.
Yep.
And that was in the 90s.
Yeah. That was. Yeah, I totally, dude. I gave up my baseball, my sports card collections. I was like, I can only do one. I only do one. So I gave up the sports card collection, the whole nine, and straight comics. And it was the 90s craze that I was a kid. Okay, I'm watching on TV, people lined up around the corner for the death of Superman. Like I'm watching it on the news. You know what I mean? I'm watching. I remember. So what I used to do is when a Marvel comic came out, I can't remember what it was called, but there was this advertisement in there where you could subscribe to comics. Mm. So I filled it out, and every week I would get these. It wasn't like a Marvel subscription. It was I forget what they were called. They did Image, and Image was like the big thing at the time, and they were coming out with all these special covers. And Queen City was a long way away. I wanted to guarantee I got my books. So I'd still buy them. I'd still get to the bookstore to buy them. But every week I'd get them in the mail, and it was like the way they came was like packaged perfectly. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure this hologram cover stays perfect, because this hologram cover is going to be worth a lot of money. And yo, listen, wait a minute. Little did I know. I remember when I bought X-Force, right? Little did I know. I'm like, yo, it's polybagged. It's got 5 different trading cards in them. You got to get all 5 cards. At the time, there's no one telling you that this just broke the record. You know what I mean? 5 million copies. So like, no one's telling you this. You just think, yo, I got all 5 trading cards in the X-Force. I'm just going to put this away. And this joint is going to be, or my favorite comic, X-Men #1, which has the Guinness Book of Record for all-time copies sold, still to this day. Your Image, man, the certificates in the Image comics. So then you had to get 2 because you wanted to cut the certificates out so you could order Image 0. But then you had to keep one with the certificate in it. All mine still have the certificates. I got Image 0 over there. Image 0 is going to be worth $1 million one day. I'm going to be rich. Years later, I bought multiple black bag issue 75 for 50 cents. Oh, yeah, Superman. Of that Superman. Yo, listen, people were lined up. People who didn't collect comics. What a gimmick, man. What a way to sell books. People who did not collect comics were lined up down the street to get the death. It was on the news. It was on the news. Superman might have been, as far as, obviously, Superman's IP as an IP is very mainstream. But as far as bringing attention to comics, Superman's death probably brought more attention to comics from people outside of comics than anything I can think of. It's on the news.
But when you think about it, like you said, it brought attention to people to people that are outside comics. when you think about during that time period, people who were, whether you were in the comic book community or not, when you think about properties and characters that people knew, that probably was one of the biggest names out there. And the persona that was out there is that he is indestructible. Nothing can ever harm him besides this little green rock. But you never thought he could die. So of course that's going to be a huge thing. They just capitalized on it. Like, oh,
well, Superman is easily the biggest IP in comics, period. It's the most recognizable, the most iconic, the most important IP in comics. I wish currently the title is pretty good, but I wish historically the title was good. I wish it lived up to the greatness of the IP. It hasn't historically, but recently what they're doing in Action Comics, what they're doing in Superman recently is I hate this. There's two books that I hate to say, growing up, I was a Spider-Man kid, that I hate to say are good right now. And it's the current Superman line and Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, I'm saying it, not just on a comiXsense platform, but on a YouTube platform. I am saying that Amazing Spider-Man is good right now. Anyone who thinks I should be eating crow, there's the crow. I just had a spoonful of it. Amazing Spider-Man is good right now. Superman is good right now. Somewhere it's snowing where it shouldn't be.
wow.
Somewhere that never sees snow is seeing snow. Shout out to James Blanton. Not familiar with the name, but really appreciate you being here. James Blanton says, I never got into Valiant Comics in the early 90s. I never heard of those characters. Very interesting, because Valiant was the original, many of them were the original Gold Key characters. At least in Solar Man of the Atom's case. Solar Man of the Atom was a Gold Key character first. So that was, we're talking 60s, 70s. We had Gold Key comics back then. I know Solar Man of the Atom was one of Turok was Gold Key, was one of Valiant's flagship titles. Yeah, man. James, I gotta agree with you. I did collect Valiant because I collected anything that I could get my hands on. Yeah, outside of Harbinger, I mean, they weren't really good. You had Eternal Warrior. You had Rai, who was really cool looking, but Turok wasn't really good. Exo Man of War wasn't really good. Shadow Man, I'm trying to think. Harbinger was pretty good. And as a testament to that, that number one is still like, you're not going to pay $20 for that book. You're going to pay 100 or better for a high grade Harbinger number one. But that's the only one that I can say. I think to me, the only good thing that came from Valiant is an overprinted, really bad crossover called Image Valiant Deathmate. And that's only because Deathmate Black will get you the first appearance of Gen 13, who are relevant in DC right now. So to me, I think that's the best outside of Harbinger. I could be wrong. I like Faith. I think Faith is a very important character, a necessary character, a body conscious superhero, not someone who's built like Superman, built more like Rebel Wilson. She is. That's the whole point of her. You know what I mean? She's built like Rebel Wilson. I think that's kind of necessary. So there is that. Peter says Rai was decent. Yes, Sean, Solar, Magnus, and Turok, they were Gold Key books. I think Solar was actually, I posted on comiXsense a few years back some of those old Gold Key covers of Solar because they were really dope. Really, really dope. Gold Key was better probably than it had any business being. Really, really dope covers. So yeah, man. So what you got next? You.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was just sitting back.
I've been hogging the floor.
It is a Solar type. Hey, so
he's talking about Barry Windsor Smith.
So that aircraft carrier original price was $109. I could have swore that thing was like $300.
Okay, so that was the most expensive 80s toy, period.
And that thing is it's two kids sitting next to it. I'm looking at this picture.
Okay.
It's huge.
Because then the next you'd have your Castle Grayskulls, your Snake Mountains, you'd have a Cabbage Patch Kid. That was a $30 toy.
Teddy Ruxpin, that was like $100 toy.
No, man.
Yes,
Stop
yes,
it.
Teddy Ruxpin was.
Stop, man.
Oh my goodness. Why?
Ah, Teddy Ruxpin was $100, dude.
Yes.
Yo, you know how you could take the cassette tape out and put like NWA in there? Like easy. Like, yo.
Teddy Ruxpin, original price. Oh, hold on, that ain't
$100?
Yes. I doggone vividly remember.
It was more than a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids weren't $100.
There was 30, which was $100.
Bro, Teddy Ruxpin cost at least $100. Here we go. Complete. That's 200. But that ain't the. I want. Okay, here it is, right here. $70.
Okay. Wow, man. I didn't know.
I remember that because I remember they were going to shop for my cousin to get. They were trying to get one for Christmas for her. I'm just looking at these prices like.
They really played us like fools in the 80s because you know that wouldn't ride today, right? Like if you pay $70 for a dial today, it's because it's one of them American, but I forget what they're called, but like a high-end dial.
You're gonna pay more than
yeah, I'm just saying. If Teddy Ruxpin come out today, they ain't nobody just knows it. Listen,
that was cutting edge technology.
You ain't paying $70 for a Build-A-Bear right now, dude. Like for real.
Technology back then.
I'm just saying, but toys don't have the same quality. But you also got to keep in mind, and this is what we're forgetting too. And they got in a lot of trouble for that. And I don't know the history behind it. I briefly read about it. Cartoons were being used simply to sell toys.
Yeah,
they were 30-minute, 20-minute commercials specifically to sell toys. And I guess the people who regulate these things, it's eluding me right now, stepped in and was like, yo, this is because literally, you remember He-Man never threw a punch?
Nobody in G.I. Joe ever got hit. You got a million lasers flying around. No one's hit.
They never had bullets in their guns. It's like red and blue lasers. And He-Man never used this sword ever. Ever. Nobody got cut with the sword. Well, and he always threw people. You always see these cut scenes where He-Man is throwing somebody, but he ain't never throwing a punch because you couldn't. You couldn't. The only cartoons that was able to do stuff like that I can recall was Looney Tunes. They had guns with bullets up in them joints. Like all of them had bullets in their guns.
And that was actually the reason, I remember as a kid, like Silverhawks. I loved that cartoon, but it didn't last long. Thundercats actually didn't really last that long. I think Thundercats only lasted like 3 seasons.
Silverhawks, Thundercats, Marshall Bravestar.
As a kid, Bravestar was terrible. By the way,
wait a minute, man. Bravestar was dope. It's terrible now.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But it was in retrospect. But Eyes of the Hawk, Ears of the Wolf, Speed of the like Strength of the Bear. Bravestar was dope, bro. We all like Bravestar.
Then now it is trash. So I went to Vegas a couple months back, and my brother, he thinks he's funny. He buys me the Bravestar DVD cassette case. So I had to kick him out my hotel room for that. I got this upstairs somewhere. I'm gonna re-gift that to somebody.
You ain't gonna watch it?
No, I ain't watched that. I don't even think I got a DVD player. I probably got one.
Bro, if they rebooted Bravestar, you out?
I'm gonna check it out just to see. But
I was about to say, bro, you out on Bravestar?
Mask, I do remember watching that, but Mask was kind of trash. Where they put those huge helmets on and drive the flipping big old trucks and cars.
Even the toys made me mad. Why was the character so small? Like they didn't even have like no points of articulation, and the actual masked people was really small. I was really mad about it. The toys weren't really good. Yo, remember the Sectors?
I got Sectors #1 around here somewhere. I'm sure it's probably never going to be valuable, but I got it.
Are you serious? I buy all of those old 80s. The Strawberry Shortcake, Cops. Listen, if it came out of the greatest pop culture era and it's a comic book, I buy it. My Little Pony. I'm not a brony, but I'm not gonna leave a My Little Pony #1 on the table either. I'm gonna have it in my collection. I'm gonna have the Care Bears. Listen, I want John Romita Sr.'s Marvel 25th anniversary Care Bears cover. I just can't afford it. It's like $700. Just for those who might be laughing when I said I would like to have the Care Bears book. Who were the dudes? Remember them? Jay, the holograms on their chest?
I'm looking it up right. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, me too.
Right now.
Me too. Me too. That's a very good question, Eric, because you just brought some memories back, man.
Apparently, other people have been looking this up too.
Yeah, man. Sam, I'm going to send you a link right now. Sam wants to hop on, so I'm going to go ahead and send him a link.
Visionaries.
Knights
of the Magical Light.
Visionaries. Those are the ones I couldn't was doing too much, man. We grew up on the east side. You could only get so many of the toys, you know what I mean? And eventually we just mixed them all together. We couldn't discriminate.
Do you remember?
Hold on, let me bring Sam in. Go on.
You probably had the largest collection in the world. Oh, I think it was called Muscles, those little pieces.
Yeah, man, I had all the muscles. I had them all.
Oh my goodness. And they were actually quite
all of the muscles.
I don't know how many hours we spent.
Yeah. I found out years later that they were supposed to be a wrestling federation.
I did not know that.
I used to make them be superheroes, man. You know, like for real. Like they all had superpowers to me. All of them. All of them. They was just superheroes. I found out later though, yeah, it was a wrestling federation. I liked the muscles. They couldn't move.
Yeah, they were just stuck in whatever position you got them in.
Whatever. Yeah, you would get like a barrel of them. You can get everything down to like 4-packs. Muscles. I think there was like a cartoon for it too.
I don't recall seeing the cartoon. I do remember those toys vividly though.
Yeah, the muscles. Yeah, man. How do we get to toy? I mean, how do we not? If we're talking 80s, right? Bronze Age Copper Comics, and we're talking pop culture, which is what we kind of are. It's just an overlap.
It's all intermingled.
Yeah,
like you said, the animated series were nothing but advertisements for these toys, and those were the reasons those shows that were popular to us that we thought should have continued on petered out so quickly because the toys weren't selling. If the toys sold, show stayed on the air. If they didn't sell, it's up out of there. But us as kids, we don't know that.
Right. I just remember getting the Transformers and waiting to find out what the next generation was going to be because you got like a poster inside of your toy that folded out and it shows you the next generation because, you know, we went through this as kids, right? And we don't know, like no kid knows when they're a kid in 1979 or 1980, when they watch Empire Strikes Back, they don't know that after Luke gets his hand cut off and the rebels get whooped by the Empire, they don't know there's going to be a Return of the Jedi. They don't know that another movie is coming. They just know they went to the movies and they saw Luke get whooped. They saw Han Solo get frozen in carbonite. They saw everybody get whooped out. And in the credits roll. They don't know that after watching Optimus Prime die, we have no idea what's happening next. I remember Transformers was one television show. Then that movie came out, and next thing I know, none of the people that I've been watching for years was on that show anymore. It was an all new look. You got Optimus Prime. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just woke up one day. Springer. Where is the people that I've been watching for like 4 or 5 years?
Where is Bumblebee, Ratchet? Where are all these jokers at?
It's like Speedy or something. Bumblebee got replaced by like a pink, like all kind of stuff happened. And I'm like, yo, why? Little did I know when I look back in retrospect, it's because they trying to update the toy line. They come in with a whole new series of toys. And in order for them to sell these toys, these kids have to watch this cartoon because it was a hard shift. It wasn't like, let's ease into it. Let's introduce some people. Nah, man, they did that movie. They was like, hey, kids, y'all love Optimus Prime. Here's a middle finger. We're going to kill him. And he going to stay dead. Like, it was like, listen, They was not playing with us. They really messed with our feelings. And then they was like, and you know what? Just in case you think he coming back tomorrow.
And that was a tearjerker. I remember actually seeing that movie in the theaters.
Me too.
And at that time, if you were at the movies, if you want to see the movie again, just don't leave the theater. You just stay in your seat.
In the theater.
I watched it 2 times in a row. Me and my buddy, and again, like Optimus died, and he turns black and gray. You're just like, you're traumatized as a kid. Like, what is this? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. If y'all weren't there, I think Sean Mallory might have been there. He could attest to this. Maybe Peter. If y'all weren't there, y'all don't understand. Kids, loyal kids who followed Transformers for years got done dirty so that they can sell a new line of toys. It wasn't. They didn't ease into it. They didn't be like, hey, let's introduce some new characters into the old characters. When that movie was over and you turned on your TV Monday to watch Transformers, listen, it was this bright, colorful cartoon. By Monday, it was this dark, like all the colors was different. All the characters was different. Every one of them. And all your favorite characters that you fell in love with was gone. They were relics. You have to listen. This is why some of us are so passionately against Rodimus Prime. He ain't do nothing to us. He was just supposed to stay Hot Rod.
There was a documentary on that, like what happened. So they just kept moving through characters because they just wanted to sell more and more toys. And what it did was it like alienated that whole fan base. They're like, who the heck are all these new Transformers? And they were just like repackages and rehashes of old Japanese toys that they were like, oh, let's call them this, let's call them that. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, it was horrible.
I don't know. I still love the movie though. You gotta love.
Yeah, the movie was great. It was everything that happened after the movie.
Well, the movie was great, except like, how do you do a Transformers movie and then Optimus dies in like the first 20 minutes? Like,
they wanted us to. They wanted us to like Rodimus Prime.
They were trying to transition on.
I know, but that's like, oh,
nobody liked Rodimus Prime. Like you,
that's just so funny.
We liked Hot Rod. Nobody was feeling Rodimus Prime.
Yeah, I do love Hot Rod.
Yeah, that's what we liked. And then you gonna turn him into Rodimus Prime, man.
Yo, so at today's panel for the Energon universe, Daniel Warren Johnson is talking about Bumblebee and why, spoilers, obviously, but in issue 1, they just
called an orgy,
right? They just murk Bumblebee, and
simple explanation, dear James.
Daniel Warren Johnson, he just goes, "It's because I don't like drawing him." And like
what happened?
The whole panel booed.
What happened?
Yeah, so at the Energon panel today, Daniel Warren Johnson was talking about the death of Bumblebee in issue 1, how they just murked him, you know? And he basically said, I'm going to tell you why, because I hate drawing him.
I think Bumblebee's overrated. He was never what he is in the modern era as he was in the cartoon. He was never that in the cartoon.
No.
And what they've turned him into is like,
I mean, Transformers was a huge hit of the show. It was crazy. There were exclusives at every booth, obviously, as you know. But then Daniel Warren Johnson was set up for like 2 hours each day, and the lines were just insane of people trying to get his signature on the Transformers 1. I think that what I love about your conversation earlier when I was watching it, like the 80s is back in a big way. The 90s is back in a big way. All of these beloved pop culture like installations are now getting their due, and it's exciting. And they're being done by true fans now too, which is even better, you know.
So
G.I. Joe's next.
Everybody, I want to shout out. We got Comic Sam Ferrato in the house. Pleasure to have you here, chilling with
good to be here.
Comics
Good
community.
to be here with J-Rod. That's just exciting.
Yeah. First time y'all been together, huh?
Yeah.
So really quick, I want everyone to like and follow Comic Sense on Facebook and join our Comic Sense Facebook group. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Find us on Instagram. Follow us on the Twitter. If you are watching on Facebook, jump on over to YouTube, give us a like, a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Just open up the stream, look at it for like 0.5 of a second. Come on back over to Facebook. Help us out. There you go. Man, it's hot in my house. So, Sam, you're at the airport. You're on your way home?
Yeah.
You're in New
Flying
York.
back. I'm in Jersey right now.
Why don't you drive?
I didn't drive.
And when tickets are $100 to fly,
Yeah,
better.
get the convenience.
And parking
Yeah?
is like $75 a day or something like that. It's crazy.
Okay. How many days were you there?
Since Thursday.
At the con?
Yep.
So, Common Sense community, I just want to let you know, when you say, how come you guys don't give us really cool content from really cool cons? And we happen to have a man on the ground at the con.
I had no signal. There's no such thing as cell signal in that building. Like, it is insane. I couldn't text anybody. I couldn't call anybody. And
I feel
I
like
have
you work for
AT&T.
Apple or something.
It is ridiculous, dude. Like, you can't get anything. Like, booths are asking you to like and subscribe their page in order for you to get free stuff or whatever.
Mhm.
You can't even pull up their Instagram. It was crazy.
I didn't
So-
hate the GoBots. Okay, I kind of hated the GoBots.
I did not
No,
like
GoBots were awful.
But Sidekill was dope.
terrible.
You gotta
I'm
watch
always
that
gonna say
documentary,
Sidekill
The
was
Toys
dope.
That Made Us, on Netflix if you haven't.
They got absorbed by the
Because-
Transformers.
The Transformers episode is incredible.
Well, you know the Transformers absorbed the GoBots, right? They're like part of the
That's so funny.
Transformers mythos now. Yeah, Hasbro bought.
That's where that was like the welfare version of Transformers, man. Those were terrible. And
Yeah, but if you had one, you was playing with it.
oh yeah, of course. You
You
know,
know?
you did what you had to do. But to speak to Sam's point, because we had that same issue this past year at the Denver Fan Expo. So the very first day, so supposedly they purposely set up dampeners so that you don't have signal in those places.
Dude, it was so bad.
And then
They
they make you pay for access to their Wi-Fi at the convention.
You know what though? I would have totally paid for Wi-Fi access. Their Wi-Fi never worked either. It was
But you got
awful.
thousands upon thousands of people trying to access.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't work.
No. it's
So what'd
bad.
you get?
I honestly bought no vintage. I bought no vintage. You know me, all moderns. I gotta rep the spec community, right? So I got some.
I'm just
some
trying to
things.
figure out why we're using the word vintage in reference to comic books. Are we
Oh,
at
I'm
this?
just
Are we
saying.
at that place yet? Are we
I
at
mean,
that place in history yet? Where
when you walk around, there's a clear separation between
Mm.
the vintage vendors and the modern vendors. It's really interesting to see like the buying habits
Mhm.
of con goers too. Like there were crazy lines for modern exclusives. Absolutely crazy.
Did you give me a giant
Um,
size X-Men?
I could have. I saw several, but and then vintage. When you're walking around, it's everyone like,
I mean the giant
you
size
know,
X-Men exclusive.
oh, I didn't know there was one.
It's a con exclusive. It's
Dude,
a hollow. It's a foil
there's
cover.
too many. Damn. No, I missed that one completely. I didn't even know where that was. There's too many, man. Like, but your vintage customers, they'll walk down the aisle and you see them. I'm the same way when I'm looking at vintage. Just scan the wall, or they're digging through the boxes. And then exclusive guys, modern, they're just walking up to the booth and they point to the menu and go, "I'll take like 12 of those, 5 of those."
This is an important question, by the way.
such a difference in buying habits.
There's a third besides just the cars and the lions. There's the planes as well, but lions all day, James.
Oh yeah, the Lions are so much better.
Lions all day. The cars as toys were so bad.
How could you downgrade from Lions to Cars?
It's the same premise that they use for Power Rangers. Same exact thing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the Cars cartoon
Yeah,
was
Turbo.
better than the one with the planes was better than all of the cartoons.
Oh, I don't
Remember they
remember
had the
Planes
one that we all watched with the lions, and they had this other one that people barely watched with I
Maybe
think it was
that's why,
planes
because
or
I
car.
bet
It
if they
was
were barely
better.
watched, I
It was
don't
better.
remember it.
It was better.
That's funny.
So you bought all modern?
Yeah, mostly modern stuff. I attended a lot of panels this year, which is the first
Mhm.
time I've ever done that. You know, I had a buddy who was like, "Oh, you just got to come to all the panels with me." Most gave out some pretty cool exclusives at the end, but like Marvel's panels were really interesting this year. Um, like there was one full panel that was all basically top secret, what's coming up. There's going to be a cool crossover called Blood Hunt, which is going to be Dracula versus like all of the big name, like more sci-fi magic heroes of the Marvel universe. So that's going to be cool. Um, there were that Ultimate Universe
Mhm.
lineup that was released with.
Did you see the
Um,
Sabretooth War?
yeah, I saw the Sabretooth War too. That looks really cool. Um, the Ultimate one had a Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther, but also it looks like there's Ultimate Moon Knight with him.
So
Um,
did you see the timeless, the new solicitation for the new timeless
oh no.
has a it's Moon Knight with Stark Tech, right? It's a different
Mm,
Moon Knight with Stark Tech, and it's Power Man, who's really
mm.
Power Man. He's got Iron Fist power, Sentry's power. He's like really old too, and they're
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm assuming it's coming out of this Ultimate Universe that Hickman is creating.
I mean, it's going to be crazy that Peter B. Parker, you know, from I mean, maybe not the Spider Verse version, but he's going to be the Ultimate Spider Man.
Hmm.
Um, so that's different. And then Peach Momoko is doing Ultimate X Men. She's doing the writing and the art, which is crazy. They showed a really awesome version of Armor on the front cover.
Boo,
It looked good, dude. It looks good.
boo. I like Peach Momoko. I hate Peach Momoko's take on the X-Men. I
Really?
don't enjoy it at all.
For what? Demon Wars?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy
This one should be different.
her X-Men 12 cover. I do like her take on X-23.
Mm.
I don't enjoy her as a writer either.
Yeah, she had what two really good X-23 covers. The one where she was like running with was it
Yeah, X-Men
with the
18.
Wolverines?
Yeah,
And then the zombie
with the
one.
wolves. She's running with wolves.
Yeah, running with wolves. What else?
Marvel really pushing hard on these new higher cover prices though. Ultimate Comics $7, $8, guys.
Yeah,
So
it's insane.
retroactively, all comic books, Marvel number ones are $6 easy now. $5.99, $6. But all of we're seeing a price hike. Scout went from $3.99 to $4.99. Like we're just seeing a price hike across the boards for number one issues. You're just gone are the days of seeing a number one issue for $4.
Yeah.
It's over.
I was sitting in the Spawn panel and they brought up on the screen like they're staying at $2.99 and the whole room like erupted into cheers because it's crazy. Like, you know, they acknowledge that we're building this massive Spawn universe and they announced like 6 more titles for the Spawn universe. But then they said, we know that not everyone can afford to buy all of this stuff, but you want to read it. So we're keeping the prices at $2.99. And I was like, that's what the industry needs, honestly.
The problem is the Spawn universe just isn't great.
I'm not the biggest fan. It's pretty crazy the stuff that they're doing. So like they announced Salmon Twitch files, like the cases, and instead of doing miniseries, they're gonna do one creative team on one case, and they're gonna bring another creative team, bring them in to do another case. That's a cool side of this, like the Spawn universe. And then they're doing a couple other stories that aren't necessarily like the supernatural characters, but more like the people that we've seen throughout Spawn titles and how whatever happened in like a really far away, like a long ago issue, like issue 5, taking that character and showing them in the real world, like now, and how they like moved through like Rat City and all this stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah, again, it's just not great.
Hmm.
It's just
They're
not great. I
they're trying to
appreciate the
do,
consistency of Spawn. I think that's great.
yeah. They said they want to do something for everyone. So they're going for horror. They're going for like futuristic, like kind of cyberpunk. In one of these series, they're going for superhero. So they're going to start branching out into genres that will cater to everyone. Like Dark Ages is coming back, Medieval is coming back. Like those are things that I've read before, and I guess I've never really latched on to Spawn like a lot of other people do. Like I've read it and enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite. But I like the fact that they're spreading out like Spawn into different genres, so everyone could kind of like find their own that they like.
So Peter, so generally it's the number one issues that we're seeing a markup on, and then the regular issues drop back to generally a $4 price tag. The regular issues, which generally the number ones that we're seeing a markup on, but this is still a good question. So then with all the titles going to the $7 to $10 mark on average, does this drive down copies? I'm sorry, it's Sean. Does this drive down copies sold in long game? Do these become more sought after a decade from now, or dollar bin fillers? It's a good question.
I think it's going to depend on the content. If
So
it's
I think in general, yeah,
So I think it leads to inevitability a crash, which is not a bad thing. Don't be like, oh, the market's going to crash. Everything, if you learn in economics, has a boom and a bust. And then a boom and a bust and 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 a boom and a bust. Um, Eventually, some of these titles, Peter, as you're suggesting, you're just not going to sell. Not only are they not going to sell, retailers are going to be forced to order less copies or less quantity unless they're fulfilling pools. You might not see certain titles on the shelf unless it's to fulfill a pool. I don't think a retailer can order every issue of Gods at $9.99 cover price in large quantity. I just don't see how they could do that unless they're Midtown or unless they're ordering to fill pull lists. And if they are, they're not going to have 50 copies on the table after that, because the average consumer is not looking to spend $9.
nope.
You know what I mean?
I don't like spending $4.99.
a book you're going to read for about 15, 20 minutes and be done.
Well,
It's sad.
Gods is
Right?
really a dense read.
Oh, Gods was awesome. I
It's
love
really
issue 1.
great. It's really
Phenomenal.
great.
Issue 2 is supposed to be like arguably even better based on like
Well, they're
what
self-contained
Hickman was
stories
saying.
right now.
It's gonna be really cool.
So that's
Like,
I didn't expect it to be that way. You know what I mean? Like, here's a
I mean-
story, we solve it.
Yep.
What happens next? You know what I mean? Gods was you know, the best thing I read this week was Knights, though, from Image Comics.
Oh, I didn't pick up this week's yet. Really?
So good.
That's awesome.
It's
I'll have to
so
check that out.
good, man. It's
Some
so
of my
good.
favorite reads, like I like the new concept stories. Like Gods to me was phenomenal because it's different. Like they're adding like new cultures and new like groups of characters, not just like a single character, but like a full like race of different gods or whatever in, which is really cool.
Well, he hasn't introduced a race of gods yet.
Well, I thought the what you call it, the oh man, what are they?
He's alluded to.
The girl, isn't she a group
She's
of?
a symptom.
Oh yeah, yep.
So he alluded to the powers that be in the natural order of things, and that they are at odds with each other. So he's made the powers that be in the natural order of things. He's made them actual entities or abstract entities that are gods. I'm assuming somewhere under the one above all.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
So what Aiko is she's an agent. I would imagine similar to what an angel would be to
like one of 100 agents, right?
Right. She's a number. And Wen is the avatar for the natural order of things. He's like the spokesperson or the avatar for the natural order of things. And Aiko is one of, I don't know if it's 100. a number of symptoms. What I'm assuming are equivalent to angels,
I guess I don't know. All I know is
maybe even demons.
I'm in on this book. Like
Yeah, it's
I
really
think
good.
everyone should be buying multiple copies of this book because first appearances are going to be all over. Like this first
Next
issue is
issue.
nuts.
Next issue's got first appearances.
Next issue is maybe the biggest one. I think
She's
Mia
big first
is
appearance. Magic
gonna
Girl.
be she's gonna be the character of the series.
Her first cover appearance already
Guardians.
dropped. Say again. Yeah,
Guardians
she's
of
on
the
the cover of
Galaxy
Guardians.
#5.
Yep. First cover appearance. The thing is,
That's
here's
a
the thing.
sleeper.
It
That's
is
a
a sleeper.
sleeper.
It is a sleeper. Listen, that's why I put Peter's comment up. Wynn might be my favorite new character since Miles.
Oh, he's awesome.
I think Wynn is one of the most important new Marvel characters, period.
Yep.
Really an important character.
Yep. I mean, I loved the title. You know, I mean, I'm a huge Hickman fan in general, but just the way the story was done was great.
Say again?
Just the way that the story was told was awesome.
Yeah, it was really done. It was done really well. Wynn's character, the way he's written, really great.
Yeah.
Really, really, really great. I love the plot devices. I love the way that they resolved it. I loved everything that they did to get to the solution. It's really dope. You know what I mean? And I love how, as you're reading the end, you get to the beginning, so to speak. You get to X-Men Avengers, Free Comic Book Day, and you get those pages filled in, and you actually see the context by which Doctor Strange and Wynn were having that conversation. And Wynn's the first time we see Wynn, obviously, is that Free Comic Book Day, X-Men Avengers, Free Comic Book Day. Make sure y'all have that. Make sure you have that. Love this interaction with his assistant. Yeah, I get the feeling that he doesn't like his assistant very much at all, and that his assistant, if given his assistant given the chance, would see him just the way he carried himself, would see him destroyed as well. Like if given the chance, I get the feeling that theirs is an ancient relationship that is not based upon. They didn't voluntarily choose to be with each other. Want to check out this comment? ASM has been dropping 8 to 10 issues 4 to 5 times a year in newer titles like Avengers, Hulk, Scarlet Witch with a $5 monthly tag. I don't see value or sustainability with Marvel series or miniseries they've been doing the past year and looks to continue forward with it. DC had great momentum with Dawn of DC, then derailed themselves with Night Terrors this summer. Image and Scout appear to have a tighter business plan. Yeah, I thought Night Terrors, because some of those issues were really good, and I thought Night Terrors was going to be strong, and it didn't. It wasn't, and it didn't.
No, sad.
Yeah, we got some cool characters out of it, but it didn't stick the landing at all. Dawn of DC probably should have, because what they're doing with Wonder Woman is just really good right now. They really were able to kind of reinvent some really good characters, good IPs, I would say, in DC with what they did with Action Comics. Absolutely the way you should have went. Absolutely should be an anthology covering all of the super family. Absolutely. Wonder Woman right now, you know, the whole Amazons on the being hunted, and you know, that whole storyline is really, really good. Her daughter, you know, being introduced, really, really good stuff. I don't know what's going on in Batman because I don't read Batman. So I can't tell you what's going on in the Bat titles. But I thought after Dawn of DC was really getting themselves together. I mean, I'm still in on DC. I mean, we got the Vigil out of Dawn of DC. And Vigil's easily one of the best comic books, hands down, out there. So, you know, I'm always in on DC. I'm always in on a DC key. I'm always in on a DC #1. I'm always in on a DC key. But I agree with Peter. DC kind of derailed themselves after Night Terrors. I don't know, man. Image Comics are raising the prices of their books. Boom is probably the only one that's still going to give you after issue #1, still going to give you a $3.99 book. But Image is even raising the cover price of their #1 issues. Not all of them. Void Rivals is still a $4 book. which I mean, that's the book people want, right?
That's one on hiatus too.
Peter says DC always shoots themselves in the foot, hearing how Gunn's DC verse may not be happening anymore with WB possibly selling. If that's been rumored for a long time, right?
The sale?
Crazy.
Yeah, the AT&T getting rid of DC for a long time. I don't know. I don't think anyone, man, you'd have, because they've been talking about that for 3 years now, right? AT&T possibly the rumor, and what if Marvel buys, Disney buys it, da 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 da. Let's talk about that though. I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think anyone in their right mind is ever going to give up the IPs known as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. You make too much money outside of comics with those IPs. You don't ever have to make another comic, and you can still make money off those IPs. So I don't think anyone would give that up. I remember when they were talking about AT&T selling it, AT&T was really looking at getting out of comics, but not getting rid of those 3 IPs.
But who owns it now?
I thought it was AT&T.
No, I thought they got rid of all of it.
I know AT&T a couple years ago wanted to stop doing comics, for sure. That was the talk, is that they didn't just see enough revenue from comics to make it worth their while. But they valued the IPs, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman.
Well, yeah.
So, AT&T no longer owns Warner Brothers, Sean's telling us. And Warner Brothers spun off and merged with Discovery last year for the new Warner Discovery. Interesting. And Warner wants to cut ties. I know the rumor is going to pop up again. Marvel is going to buy DC, or Disney is going to buy DC. You know, Disney's become a powerhouse in the past, in the 21st century.
I don't think they are.
Well, if they do, I'd be cool with that as long as they don't merge the two. As long as they kept DC a separate comic company and Marvel a separate comic company. I don't want to see Superman flying around in the Marvel universe, in the Marvel comic universe, not in the movie. I don't want to see Batman. Listen, what you can do every once in a while is every year you can have a crossover under Amalgam. But other than that, I'm good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. But I don't want to see the DC characters suddenly become mainstays in the Marvel universe. They don't fit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's some characters I think that could have a role. I think Wonder Woman could very well have a role in the Marvel universe. Merge. No, I don't think so either.
No.
I think they could have major crossovers. I think they could recognize each other. I think Superman could cross over into Spider-Man. I think they could, just like other characters come from other realities. I think all of that is cool. Just as long as we don't have the Earth 616 in Marvel does not contain Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash. I don't want that. But there are some characters that I think would do well in Marvel and would fit in Marvel. I think Flash, because they don't have a character that fills that role. So I think Flash could come in and just fit in well as a regular character in Marvel Comics. And I'm not even a big fan of Flash, but they just don't have a character that's already in that role. Sean Mallory said he feels like if Disney bought DC, it'd be like WWE buying WCW. Total character assassinations. I don't know. It's very interesting because, I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying that wouldn't be smart.
I don't think they would do that. I disagree, Sean, only in that.
I love that, Sean, though. I love the comparison.
Yeah. The reason why I disagree is because I think many creators have went back and forth from both companies and respect the characters enough. Like, I think there are many writers who just respect Batman and who would have liked to have written Batman or even written Batman. Like if a Mark Waid, right? Mark Waid's not going to crap on DC characters if he's writing for Marvel. I can't imagine. I mean, the guy wrote Kingdom Come. I just can't imagine that he would, you know what I mean? Like, I think creatively, so many people grew up reading these characters and loving these characters. It'd have to be somebody new who just ain't give a, you know what I mean? Like some newer generation who just never worked for one or the other and never grew up reading these books, who just didn't care. Because even if you look at the original Marvel DC crossover, while we may argue over some of the outcomes of the fights, the characters were treated very respectfully. Like Captain America and Batman was a perfect example of the respect that they have for both characters. Storm and Wonder Woman. Not so much Wolverine and Lobo, because there's no way Wolverine should have beat Lobo. Like that wasn't supposed to happen. I lost everybody. J-Rob, you there?
I'm here. I'm just eating.
Ah, okay.
I met some WWE people this weekend, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I met Million Dollar Man, Matt Hardy, Luger, Ron Simmons. Who else? Jake the Snake. I asked him to DDT me. He said I wouldn't make it out of the con. I go, all right, let's go. And then, who else? Rikishi. They were cool.
They're not WWE people anymore.
They're legends, Hall of Famers.
Okay. My favorite crossover moment is when Superman gives Cap the nod to lead the teams. Yeah, man. You have to. Superman is dope. Superman is widely considered to be the best of us.
Not a leader.
In Cap's presence,
Like when he lifts Thor's hammer.
I watched a video on YouTube a while back. I always listen to these comics explain things and that. Shout out to that particular channel since I mentioned you. That's all I'm going to say. And they were talking about how Cap isn't particularly powerful at all, right? Like, yeah, he's got the serum. Yeah, he's a little bit stronger. He's a little bit faster. He's a little bit, but like standing next to Thor, standing next to Captain Marvel, standing next to these people, what makes Cap great? And it's his
leadership,
the respect that he commands.
Yep.
Like really, the respect that he commands from, I mean, you go all the way back to Secret War, right? Janet Van Dyne was the leader of the Avengers and she deferred to Cap. Way back, like you defer to Cap. Period. Superman has to defer to Cap. He's Captain America. And his reputation is known throughout the 616 universe, not just on Earth. And it's Batman Hold on. Let me see here. Those amalgam comics are some of my favorite. And of course, it happened in the 90s, since the 90s ruled.
I love the amalgam comics. Dark Claw.
And it's Batman quality tactician. Well, Cap isn't a Batman quality tactician, if that's what we're suggesting. He's not. I mean, did you just read
Batman's always playing the long game.
Yeah, he's not on Batman's level when it comes to tactics at all. Cap is more in the moment. Like right in the moment, we gonna figure this out. Like he don't got Batman skill at tacticians. I'm not a Batman fan, but he don't got Batman's tactical skills.
No. Captain America's more of the executor. Somebody else comes up with the plan.
Yes.
But he actually applies. All right, let's go. Rally behind me. Let's go.
Yep. One of my favorite Captain America moments is during Avengers AVX with the Phoenix 5, where they're just getting beat at every end, and you see Cap talking to someone. He goes, I know you want to be left alone. You don't know who he's talking to. And he goes, it always seems like when everything's at its worst, we're always coming to you for help. Can you help us one more time? And it's the Hulk. Like the Hulk can actually do anything. He couldn't, but it's Cap, right? No one else can go to the Hulk because Hulk was still in that leave Hulk alone phase. You know what I mean? And it's Cap, and he's talking to the Hulk because if it was anyone else, no one else could have convinced the Hulk to help him. He's like, you help us every time, and we're always coming after you, and you just want to be left alone. Can you help us one more time? Like, it's the Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Only because Cap asked. That's it. Cap doesn't ask. And it wasn't like the Hulk could have done it. He didn't do anything. It's the Phoenix Force. What can he do? but they were at their wits' end. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know what to do. People
I gotta
said,
head to my gate. I'll keep watching and comment in the chat. But it was nice talking to everybody.
all right, man. Thanks for having you, Sam. Thanks for chilling with us.
Great to be here.
Later.
Enjoy your flight. Get home safe. So Peter says tactician, like you said, as you're in the fight, not pre-planning. I agree. In the fight, his instinctive tactical ability is on point.
No quit.
Like on point. Instinctively, he's really, really, really dope. He's Cap. It's crazy because he probably isn't a better hand-to-hand fighter than Batman. But he beat Batman. And Batman said, yo, if we keep fighting, you'll probably win. You know what I mean? And because I don't think Batman was evaluating Cap's overall hand-to-hand combat. I think he recognized that, yo, he's on par with me. I'm better. But one, he's naturally strong, not naturally, unnaturally stronger than me. And two, I'm not going to be able to push myself to the limit that he's willing to push himself to win this fight.
Not at all.
I think Bat assessed that about Cap and was like, all right, if we fight, you're going to win. Let's see here. You see Superman, I think I can be better. When you see Cap, you think I won't quit. Yes. Yes. Because Superman is widely considered to be the best of us. And yes, when you see Cap, that's what he makes you feel like. Like, yo, I remember when I was a kid, I read a Wizard magazine where they asked a bunch of comic creators, if you take every superhero and you put them all on a planet in a battle royal, who walks away? And the majority of them said Captain America. And it was unanimous that he would just figure out a way to win. That Cap would just figure it out. I remember so many great Cap moments. It's like, wow, we're not even in the comic books and we respect this dude. At least I do. You know what I mean? I remember I was reading the most recent run of Miss Marvel, the one that ended at issue 50. And there was a early on in the run, I want to say like it's somewhere between issues 10 and 15. Miss Marvel had to take out the Avengers. She had to go beat the Avengers. She couldn't tell them why, but she had to. She was being controlled, not mind controlled, but blackmailed, so to speak. And she had to take out the Avengers or it would be to the detriment of the world. She couldn't tell them why, though. So she was just single-handedly taken out. Took out Iron Man. She took out Thor. She was taking them out toe to toe. And when she showed up to fight Captain America, he didn't even fight her. He's so dope. He like told her, he was like, yo, I'm not going to fight you. He was like, not because I'm afraid to fight you, but because I recognize that if you're doing what you're doing it for a reason. And I trust you. And only Cap could have discerned that. Like only Captain America, like her and Thor went toe to toe. She went toe to toe with Iron Man. And when she got to Cap, he's just so dope. He was like, yo, I recognize, like, if you have to do this, that there's a reason that you're doing this. And I'm going to trust. I trust you because I'm Captain America. Don't even worry about it.
Doctor Strange could have just looked at every possible outcome.
Say again? Well, he wasn't an Avenger at the time. You don't got that power anymore either. He ain't as OP as he was in the 70s. They really, really nerfed him. Like really nerfed him. They took away, his the Vishanti. They took him away from him because he was way too powerful, man. Like Doctor Strange was way too powerful. Yeah, man. Brubaker's 24 issues leading up to the death of Cap made his death matter. He defines Steve as a person and Cap as a symbol, and why both are intertwined so perfectly. Yeah, man. Cap was really that dude. I don't know about the miniseries Last Man Standing, James. I'm just not familiar with it.
And I did unboxing, man, while y'all was running y'all mouths.
Oh, let's see what you unboxed.
I literally, right before I got on the stream, got a box in the mail.
You got me a giant size X-Men foil?
I did not. I didn't even know what was in the box until I opened it, actually. because I ordered it whenever. So I got a Scout's Honor. And the only reason I got this because they gave me all 5 issues. And I already had number 1. And I was like,
okay.
I want the complete run, so I just got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only cost me like $8, something like that.
What else you get?
Marvel
I'm
Comics.
going to give you the big screen.
Marvel Comics presents. I got, what is this? 4 through 9, and I actually got it for that cover right there, that issue rather. But they came as a set, so I got them all.
That's the first appearance of Rien Durain,
Yes, sure.
daughter of Wolverine.
Then I got, this was like,
Can you show us her cover appearance there? I think it's number 7. For those who don't know and have not seen her.
nope, she's not on 7, bro.
Is it 8, 9? She's on one of those covers.
Nope. And that might be one of the ones I'm missing.
Oh, might be the second print of number 6.
Yeah,
It's the second print of 6.
It's not on any of those. Then I picked up E is for Extinction Run, only because it was dirt cheap. So I just grabbed it. All 4 of those. And I got Kingpin's miniseries.
The first one? Oh, yeah.
Which I already had one, but again, the entire set was available, so I grabbed it. And then hold on. I'm missing my Deacon Frost. Cyclops his entire series. I'm not a Cyclops fan, but again, it was like 12 all 12 of his issues for I think it was like $20. So
Is anybody a Cyclops fan?
I don't think he's a fan of himself, actually. So,
Yeah, I don't know how he lives with himself, personally.
So that's just gonna go in a box. I'm sure I will never probably read that.
Peter already knows. Is anybody a Cyclops fan? Listen, I'll take him over Gambit. I'll take Cyclops over Gambit. Cyclops is probably the second best leader in Marvel Comics.
You got to be good at something. If you ain't good at heroing, be good at something.
Never.
Let me stop.
Never Ish asking for the Cyclops and Gambit team up book now. So I don't like Cyclops because of not because one, he's always written very generic and very Boy Scout boring, but I don't like him because of his morals and the way he has been written by the best writer in the history of comics, Chris Claremont. The way he's been written, it's just he did some really egregious things and he's just good with it. I don't like Gambit because I don't like anything about Gambit. I don't like the trench coat and the 21st century with the hot pink body armor. I don't like nothing, anything, whatever they was thinking. I need them to unthink it when it comes to Gambit. I don't like anything about Gambit. You're not the only one, Peter. I like. Oh, this is so hard to say.
Just get it out.
I almost said it. I mean, they're bringing the original X-Men team back very soon. I like the original X-Men team. I don't like them as a team. I like them broken up and placed on X-Men teams rather than the original X-Men. I don't want to read a comic with the original X-Men team. I don't mind reading Iceman as a member of an X team. Jean Grey as a member of an X team. Cyclops, I don't mind that. Angel can stay wherever he goes. I don't particularly care for him. So yeah, there's that. Sean says I like Cyclops and Jean in those Ascani Sun miniseries with that sweet Jean hot artwork. So the Ascani Sun, the Adventures of Cyclops and Jean Grey is just a good miniseries. It's just really good. Especially if you're not reading it, waiting a month for each issue to come out, but you just have all 4 issues. It's actually really good. Really, really good. Saw that and looking forward to that original X-Men team. That's Peter looking forward to the original X-Men team. Peter likes Archangel better than Angel. Yeah, I mean, he's cool. I don't know. I don't like Warren Worthington the third.
He
So
looks better. Neither one was, like, oh, I'm getting every comic that comes out.
Well, Angel's better now, right? And I think that if Angel had a solo series based upon what he is now, because he can go back and forth, right? He's got a healing factor now. He can go back. He can turn from regular Angel to Angel with the bladed wings. I mean, he did just die in Dark X like right away. So I'm assuming the writer didn't like him either, because right away they made sure to kill him off. I don't know, he's dead, but
he'll be back. One day he'll be back.
I mean, yeah. Let's see here. Sean says Gina's always bored me as much as Scott. I find Madeline and Rachel the more interesting versions of Jean. I agree. Jean Grey is boring, but that's because, if you remember reading Jean Grey back in the 60s, she was such a damsel in distress character. Certainly not the character she would become when Chris Claremont started writing her. She was literally, she was obviously never meant to be as powerful as she was. And she was literally the plot device. The damsel in distress. It's hard, man, because when you ask me how I feel about the original X-Men team, I grew up exposed to the international X-Men first. The X-Men that you get in Giant Size X-Men. Those are my first introduction to the X-Men. When I bought my first comic book, Wolverine was already on the team. Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, they're beefing the Marauders. You know what I mean? This first comic I bought was Uncanny. Second comic was Uncanny X-Men 211. So they're right in the middle of beef with Marauders. So I didn't get exposed to X-Men through the original X-Men. I went backwards. And when I discovered the original X-Men, it was really boring. Mind you, the prose wasn't something that I was cool with. You know what I'm saying? As I'm going further and further back, Chris Claremont was really he wasn't a bad writer. He evolved with the times, right? Like, he wasn't writing Uncanny. The Dark Phoenix saga didn't have the same prose as by the time he got to the Mutant Massacre. I know he didn't write the original X-Men. It's not what I'm getting to. So it's hard for me to say. I was really very biased towards the original X-Men because I didn't like them. I thought they were boring in comparison to Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde and Colossus and Rogue, and like, they were really boring to me.
They were.
So as they were integrated into the team as years progressed, they stopped being X Factor and they got reintegrated into the team. Iceman grew on me. Jean Grey and Scott kind of never went away. They kind of just were always going back and forth. So Beast. I never hated Beast. I didn't dislike Beast. I thought Beast, I wasn't thinking like, oh, Beast is the coolest character or anything. I didn't dislike Beast like I do now because of what he's doing in X-Force, but that's the story, right? The story is written so well that you're not supposed to like him. And I don't. But I liked non-furry Beast better than I liked furry Beast. I'll say that.
Are you saying gray versus blue?
No, I mean human, in human form. Let's see. Claremont Davis, nearly first 24 of Excalibur is possibly my favorite X-Run. Good variety of characters and personalities, tight story, beautiful art, and top-notch villains. Now, Excalibur is really good. Give me Colossus, Nightcrawler all day, like Iceman too, because of Spider-Man and his amazing friends. James Blanton says he understands why X-Men were canceled. X-Men were canceled? Oh, you mean, yes, and then we went to reprints. Yeah, because that original team was really boring. It was just really boring. That original. So, Jay, you probably don't know. The original run of X-Men got canceled and went to reprints for like 30 to 40 issues from, I can't remember, some 50 something to like issue 94, which is the issue Claremont took over, and you got the new team right after Giant Size. They were just reprints of the original issue. So actually, it might have been maybe a little bit more than 50 something. But you just after that point, you just got reprints. It was really boring. It was a really bad comic book that went to reprints. And then 67. Thank you, James. 67 is when it started being reprints, and it stayed reprints up until issue Giant Size X-Men came out, and then issue 94 was the first issue with the new team. That's why issue 94 is such a big dollar book. It's the first issue with the new team. Giant Size came right before that. So it was just this, yeah, it was really boring. But I might think differently had I not been exposed to the Giant Size X-Men characters first. I just was. And then my journey was through them. It was right into the Dark Phoenix saga. And right, like again, my first book was Uncanny to 11, but I went backwards. So I was buying trades, and I was, the Dark Phoenix saga, and these are the X-Men Classic. X-Men Classic 1 starts with Giant Size X-Men. So it was like I'm following these characters as I'm growing up. And I'm not following Scott and Jean and Beast and Angel and Ice. Angel, I don't even know where he was at. He was gone for a long time. What about you? How you feel about Beast, Jay?
I'm indifferent. What? If he's there, he's there. If he ain't, if he's there, I'm probably barely gonna notice him. If he ain't there, I ain't gonna miss him.
Yo, it's interesting, right? Because what does he do? When he was an Avenger, like everybody else fills his role, right? Like Wolverine, like you would think you would be better than Wolverine, with the exception you don't have adamantium. You got the full fur. You bigger, but you're not. Like, you're not even better than, I don't know, man.
Like you said, it's like,
and it's like, does he want to be a gorilla or does he want to be a cat?
You have people that fill every role that he fills. Why do we need him?
I like Dark Beast, though. From the Age of Apocalypse timeline. I like me some Dark Beast, though. I like him. So I can tell you that. So, and Dark Beast is just an alternate version of Beast from another timeline. Very famous X-Men timeline called Age of Apocalypse. Jay, you should get those trade paperbacks. You should read Age of Apocalypse. It was really dope. Really dope. Really good. If you ever get a chance, read Age of Apocalypse. One of the greatest X-Men, one of the greatest events in X-Men, period, was the Age of Apocalypse. They still go back to that timeline. Whenever you see AOA associated with an X-Men comic, they're referring to the Age of Apocalypse. Hold on just a second.
I don't like the fact that nowadays we're getting too many homage covers and too many homage stories. We're just repeating stories that we've already had. That's getting played out for me.
You don't like homages?
No. It's overdone, and it's like every time you turn around, it's the same ones over and over. Like, how many homages do we need? We don't need 100 different homages to the same exact thing. And it's like they're repeating stories too. They're doing it with stories. Look, give me something fresh. Y'all need to work.
I want to agree with Sean here, because I was going to say this. Sean says for him, Beast is a better Avenger than an X-Man, and he's an even better Defender. This I will not argue. I thought Beast was a perfect Avenger. Better Defender. Okay. And I'm only going to say that because I don't think it was necessary for Beast to be an Avenger. And I do think the Defenders is just an often overlooked team that Marvel should still have a Defenders team. It's the one comic that, in my opinion, one team book that Marvel should still have. There should still be a Defenders. Not every 5 years, Doctor Strange puts together his secret Defender. Man, can we get a Defenders team?
I agree. Bring them back. Draw up the value on my Defenders books.
Can y'all help me out here? Give me some examples of homage stories. Because I know there are. I just can't think of any offhand. because I get it, right? Like the last Star Wars trilogy sucked.
Oh man, don't even bring that mess up.
But they're literally homaging the original trilogy, and it was bad.
It was very bad.
It was really, really bad.
They weren't. I don't even think they were. They were just being lazy, in my opinion.
I know there's some. I'm thinking of some now. I'm thinking now because I know, especially in the DC side of things, where there's some homage stories. Or are we talking stories where they just take something from something that was already done well and do it redo it poorly?
I don't even think it's just about whether they did it well or not. It's just a played out doggone option. Like, give us something new, something fresh. We already know this story.
Like, we don't want to do Inferno again when we already did Inferno. It's kind of what you mean.
Don't keep giving us the same. And
we don't want another clone. We don't want to keep dealing with clones. I get what I get it. I get it now because I'm looking at Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I'm looking at you.
Like it just gets old. Like, if that's the case, I'll just keep reading the old books or watching the old properties, whatever form that story's in.
Yes, that's another. There's one right there too. There's another one. A versus X, AVX, because you had Avengers versus X-Men, you had AVX. Yes, and it was an homage, obviously. Yeah, an homage to Avengers versus Defenders. I was thinking an homage to Avengers versus X-Men, just not as good as the original Avengers versus X-Men 4-issue run. Even Fantastic Four X-Men, on some level, homaged Fantastic Four versus X-Men from the 80s, 90s, late 80s, I believe. It just wasn't as good. Nobody remembers Fantastic Four X-Men, the most recent one, 2018, 2019. Nobody really remembers that stupid series. Most people remember the original Avengers X-Men run or Avengers Fantastic Four run. So I know what we're talking about. Oh man. We didn't hit the mark 7 minutes from now. We didn't just talk. I talked.
Hey, it happens.
It does.
Hey, so I don't know what your opinion is, but we're about to find out. Oh shoot, what's the fucking? Oh man, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this book. I just picked up one in the street. The Hunger book. What the heck is the name?
Hunger in the Dusk?
Yes.
I love it.
Not about the book. Live action or animated?
Either one would suit it.
I'm getting the vibe that they should make an animated doggone property out of that.
So I always want everything to be animated because you're not limited by what you can do, animation wise and how it's going to look. You're not limited by it. So I'm always for animation, but I take it doesn't even, right now with the way the book's going, you don't even need a big budget. I take a good budget live action television series. As long as it has a good budget. Because it's not like they're doing some Game of Thrones stuff. And right now everything's outside, right? Like as of now, issue number 3 right now, everything is an open setting. So we're not even talking a major budget. The cast appears to be small so far. Just a good budget. Yeah. I take a good budget on that. I do think Hunger in the Dusk is, if we're talking new indie books for 2023, Hunger in the Dusk, your Indigo Children. I think Nights, the first issue, is the best one I've read, but I don't know that the series is. You got to give me more. I can't just go on issue number 1.
Yeah.
Right. So like Hunger in the Dusk, Indigo Children. I'm trying to think because the Hunger in the Dusk is really pretty brilliant, like really good. The production quality is top notch, and you could tell it's a passion project for the writer. So, if you're talking about investment potential, right? Live action is certainly better because it's more appealing to people who don't watch comic books or cartoons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you there. It just gives me a vibe that I think it could be very. I mean, it can be successful in either version, but I just think animation for that particular property would be the way to go.
Say again.
I just think animation for that particular product. I think it could be successful live action or animation. It just gives me animation vibes. Like this should be animated.
Peter says it will be dope anime style. James says he's glad Invincible is animated. That's something I was thinking about too when I was talking about what the mainstream appeal. Invincible has to be animated, right? Or it needs a budget, a really big budget. The problem that Invincible suffers from being animated is, well, one, it did attract new fans. It did attract people who don't read comic books, but it still suffers from the fact that its viewership is always going to be limited by grown-ups who aren't going to want to watch a cartoon.
Nope. Just because not because it's not good, it's just they refuse to watch it. Like, oh, that's a cartoon.
I'm not going to watch it. You know what I mean? Not because it's not good, because many people will concede that sure there are good cartoons. I'm just not going to watch them because it's a cartoon. You know what I mean? It could be a dope property. It could be their favorite novel, and they're not going to watch it in animated form. Sean says you need the quality animation from shows like Castlevania and Legends of Vox Machina for it. Listen, they just dropped a new Castlevania last week. They just dropped a new Castlevania, new generation. I already finished the whole thing, man. That Castlevania thing is so good. So good. Really, really good. So from an investment purposes, and I agree, Peter, the adults are ignorant. But from an investment purposes, we're talking about investing, right? Right now, because they are ignorant. I'm going to say we want it to be live action, but on the same token, the drawback is if it's live action and it sucks, then there goes the investment. Right? So that's why I kind of said either. I just think it would need a budget. It would need a budget if it's going to be live action. I would like for it to get, because man, you know, Sean mentions Vox Machina, right? Like Vox Machina is a dope cartoon, but only a niche community are talking about the cartoon, and it's dope. The animation is dope. The quality is dope. It's really great, and still only a niche. You know, we in this community or in the pop culture community know about the Castlevania cartoon. So many people grew up playing Castlevania that aren't going to watch that cartoon, and it's really brilliant. Like really, really brilliant. Like they got, I mean, Natasha Kinski is a main character in the most recent season. Like we're not talking, you know, just some voice actors. They're really getting people. If you look at the cast of He-Man on Netflix, just the cast alone, you would think everybody would be watching that cartoon. They done really dug deep and pulled in some heavy hitters for it, for the animation, and we watch it. Transformers War for Cybertron is some brilliant animation. Many Transformers fans as there are, they're not watching the cartoon. I don't get it. Peter said it, adults are ignorant. Those adults are ignorant. I can't imagine viewership for The Boys and The Boys animated shorts is even close to the same amount. And right. We watch the animated shorts, and everyone who watches The Boys that aren't into cartoons or into comics, that just discovered it, they're not watching the animated shorts. I know people who haven't watched any of the animated shorts, but they watch The Boys regular season. They watch those shows. They're just not going to watch the animated shorts because it's cartoon. Me, my favorite medium on television is animated. I go right to Crunchyroll. Every night, last resort, Crunchyroll.
Have you watched Gen V yet?
James. Yo, James, listen, because your comments are really dope, really dope. Really appreciate them, really insightful, really informative, and actually really helping to progress and move the conversation along. You're really adding something productive to the conversation. I just got to tell you that Wolverine cartoon, that anime X-Men cartoon, that anime Wolverine cartoon is on Netflix right now. And I tried, man. And I'm a cartoon dude. I put the first episode on. You have to understand I'm an X-Men dude. I have high expectations, really high expectations. It's the reason why I don't like none of the Fox stuff, none of it. I have really high expectations because I've been waiting for such a long time to get somebody who cares on some level about the X-Men on television. Dude, I didn't live through the Generation X television show on Fox. I mean, I didn't had to endure this as an X-Men fan. The most horrible, atrocious things that you can do to an X-Men fan on television, they done did. They done to Anna Paquin. That's who they're gonna give me as Rogue. This is what you doing. Like, listen, man. I wanted to punch my TV in the face when I saw Anna Paquin as Rogue. Is that her name, Anna Paquin?
It's something like that. It was terrible.
I'm sorry. So when I tried, they put them shows on Netflix just recently. I'm telling you, I tried. I really tried. I couldn't. I couldn't, man. They didn't do it. Oh, that's why James said, that's why I said interesting. Yeah, man, I couldn't do. I tried so hard, bro. I tried, man. I was like, what? I didn't know. And all my peoples in the comics community told me, like, yo, Ish, you missed out on the X-Men cartoon, because I did. I was off in another country during the whole X-Men cartoon. They're like, yo, you got to go back and watch it. Like, you're going to really love it. Man.
Peter, I don't agree with that.
Stop. I went back and watched that cartoon. Yo, man, I guess you had to be there.
You had to be watch it when it came out.
When it came out. Because, yo, I tried, man. I was overseas, so I missed it all. Man, I tried. I was like, yo, I know the people who are recommending this are like really insightful people. They had to grow up watching this. They had to, because that X-Men cartoon. No. I mean, the music is catchy, but listen, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Marvel missed so many marks with their animation, and the most excitement generated is in a My show with X-Men 97. I'm hoping in a My show too. I want to make sure I catch everyone. Sean said, I think Last of Us, while I didn't care for the game is brilliant, will help more live action shows get made. We'll love to see God of War live action, but probably wouldn't care as much for an animated version. I wouldn't mind an animated version. I think God of War would have to be really high budget. Peter says X2 was the only one that was good, in my opinion. Which one was X2? What was in X2? What was it about?
That was late about. Right. None of them were good. None of them.
Listen, the only thing that Fox did with an X on it that was good was a show called Legion, which wasn't actually good. It was brilliant. That show was really brilliant. And that's it. That's it. Okay, Deadpool.
The first one.
Yeah.
That second one was trash.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Okay, so Peter's telling me that you had to, if I didn't watch the X-Men cartoon originally, you missed out. Yeah, okay. Won't lie. Gifted wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I agree. I like Polaris on that show.
Gifted. I don't even know if I saw that.
Yeah, Polaris was on there. I didn't see that. They were like young mutants on the run.
Oh, I think I might have seen like the first episode or two.
The Stepford Cuckoos was really done really well. I really enjoyed seeing them on television. So I will give it up. Gifted wasn't the worst at all by any means. But if you're an X-Men fan, you got done really dirty. in this process. When they did that first movie, they cast everything so great, and then they gave us Anna Paquin as Rogue.
She wasn't the only one that was bad.
Halle Berry as Storm was horrible.
That was okay.
It was like the worst thing that you like. Really?
I thought you was skipping over that.
Nah, man, I'm not skipping over Halle Berry as Storm. Like, why? You don't want to get no actor with no strength of character? We talking about Storm here. I'm not hating on Halle Berry, but like strength of character matters. Like Storm got to be able to give you that look, and you like Captain America, right? Like Storm gives you the look, and you be like, oh, okay, I got to respect her. You're not getting that from Halle Berry.
Logan, you see Sean's comment, his latest. Logan, I don't disagree. That was
Deadpool 1, X-Men First Class, and X-Men Day of Future Past were excellent. Logan is just a high watermark for any movie. Day of Future Past? Where Kitty Pryde had powers that she doesn't really have, and she like transporting people through time, and I don't even understand how she could do that.
The opening scene of that movie, yes. The rest of, I mean, compared
is that the one where like they had to really bootleg looking Apocalypse?
No. That was the one. You're right, where she's transporting them through time. You know,
when could she do that?
Apparently in that movie. When they brought her off the pages, she developed some new. I don't know.
I'm just messing with you, Sean. I'm not actually messing with you. I'm just messing with the franchise because I didn't like any of it. I didn't like none of it. I don't understand why Azazel has to be on an X-Men team.
Oh my god!
For any reason.
That
he wasn't never on an X-Men team before. You just gonna give the people Azazel because you just don't think that the mainstream read these books, because they don't, and you're not paying attention to the fact that there's a whole bunch of people that do. Azazel on an X-Men team? When did they ever do that? He's just now for the first time ever on an X-Men team, and it's the Dark X-Men.
I never even watched that Dark Phoenix one.
That was a great cast, Kelsey Grammer. All right, James, man, really appreciate you. Be sure to check us out on the group and on the page, man. Really appreciate you hanging out with us.
I saw one clip of that Dark Phoenix, and I already knew prior I didn't want to watch it. But then when I saw a little clip where they go into Xavier's office, and they were like, oh, I don't know who it was like, well, we saved the day. Maybe it should be X women.
I think the X-Men Dark Phoenix film was miscast. I think they miscast the villain because
the villain in the movie. I didn't see it.
So the woman who plays the villain just outacted everybody in the film. And that's not good. Like, there's got to be a balance, right? It's like when you cast a bunch of B-level actors and then you bring in, what's the British actor that's like widely considered the best? He's really good.
Which one?
He plays Dracula. He also, like, every time he plays a role, you forget it's him.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
No. Everyone keeps wanting to say that Daniel Day-Lewis played Dracula. This not Daniel. Gary Oldman. It's like putting a bunch of B-level actors in a film and then saying, okay, you're going to be acting alongside Gary Oldman. And Gary Oldman's showing up to this B movie like he's going to win the Academy Award. Because he always goes to work.
Yeah.
I forget her name. She plays the villain and she acts.
I'm about to find out right now.
Above and beyond everyone she's in the room with. Way beyond. And I mean, James McAvoy is good. He's a good actor. There's some good actors in that film, but she sells it like it's the role of her career. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm pulling it. This pale looking lady.
Redhead.
Oh, no. That's the one who plays Jean Grey with the red hair.
No, she in real life she has red hair.
Oh, well, maybe this is from the film.
The pale lady is the villain, but in real life she has red hair. She's in Old Dark 30. She's in what is her name?
I'm looking at a picture of her. I'm trying to see her actual real name though.
I'll tell you her name right now. Somebody shouted out in the stream. I just had to look this up recently. I don't know why I can't think of her name. She just did a movie with Common. What is her name? She's been acting for a while now. Her name is Jessica Chastain.
There you go.
That is her name. And she just out actually listen, when one person is acting at a level that the rest aren't living up to, it also just makes the movie. I mean, the movie was bad anyway. It's a bad movie. I like the cameo. We got Dazzler. Thought that was dope. We got to see Dazzler. But Sean Mallory says that Wolverine Origins was bad, except they had a fire movie in there if they had left it with just Jackman and Schreiber and told to tell two brothers throughout time. That opening with them going through wars and shit was incredible. That's what I wanted for the whole movie. That was actually that was good. That was good.
That was better than that other portrayal of Sabretooth that they had in those other X-Men movies. Did not like that at all.
Yeah, man.
With
Silver Samurai was portrayed bad. They did a whole movie with Silver Samurai that I completely forgot about until right now. Wolverine movie. But I think people forget there was a Wolverine 2. Like there is, people forget that. There was a whole trilogy. What was Wolverine 1 about?
It was, I think it was him and Shrek. No, I don't know.
How bad it is, man. I'm sorry, yo. If y'all out there and y'all watching this, like, don't hate us because we're hating, but we're not really hating. We just keeping it real. Like, I don't. Does anybody? Oh, Wolverine 1 was that joint with like?
Oh, that's with
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Oh, that. Oh,
when Deadpool had the swords comfort, yo.
And it had the blob.
Yo, everybody forgot about that way. Everybody forgot about that.
Gambit was in that movie, right?
I guess, yeah. I guess
it was terrible.
Yo, I just remember that was Wolverine 1 with the fake Deadpool. Now they got another Deadpool. Like, how they gonna reconcile this? Well, they put Wolverine in there because that Deadpool doesn't really exist, and Ryan Reynolds even made fun of him. So Ryan Reynolds was like, I want to play this character again. Like, he lobbied. He was like, yo, I didn't get it right the first time. Y'all got me with swords coming out of my arms. Like, yo. I forgot Wolverine 1. So Wolverine 2 was like the Silver Samurai, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so Wolverine 2.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah.
Wolverine Origins, the Wolverine, and then Logan, where we got Daphne Keane as X-23. Well,
as she's willing to reprise her role.
I would like her too. I like Daphne Keane. I like her in His Dark Materials. I like Daphne Keane. So I wouldn't have a problem if she reprised the role. She's old enough now to play older Laura Kinney.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I like Daphne Keane, so I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
So I know you've seen or heard all the rumors with all these different characters that are supposed to be popping up in Deadpool 3. My personal opinion is this is their way of, and it's all these actors from these bad movies that we're talking about, reprising those roles. That this is good. This is Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, and this is how they clean the slate of all those old actors from the bad movies, and then as the new movies come out, brand new slate. Just my opinion.
I don't disagree. I think they just want to have Deadpool kill a bunch of Marvel characters that now exist in the Marvel multiverse on television, because those characters aren't going to exist per se, in my opinion, in the mainstream MCU reality.
Nope.
Right?
I think this is how they kill them off.
Well, that Professor X is essentially, arguably, because we don't know for sure, but arguably that Professor X is dead already. died in Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Arguably, if we want to say it was that particular, the Fox universe's Professor X. Maybe it was another universe's Professor X. Yes, for sure. I don't have a problem with Taylor Swift as Dazzler. It's got to be someone who can sing, which I mean, she can't not sing. She's obviously a better songwriter, but anyone watching Loki season 2, I'm out with it as I'm bored as fuck and I have no idea what's going on.
I haven't even seen season 1 yet. I can't lie to you.
You didn't see Loki season 1?
Not yet. It's on my list. I just ain't got to it. I'm a busy man.
I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. One of the most brilliant performances in any Marvel anything happens in Loki season 1. It's like the best thing of the entire phase. It's the reason why so many people don't want Jonathan Majors to not play Kang. I can't tell you anymore. I just know.
Well, I heard it was good. I just hadn't got to it yet.
Bruh.
I haven't seen Moon Knight. I ain't seen Werewolf by Night. I've got a couple still out there, man.
So there's a couple things that I like about season 2. Sean, I have to agree with you. I was bored to death on episode 1. Bored to death. It's just way too sciencey for me and not enough like fun Marvel-y. Super sciencey. And then I watched episode 2 yesterday. And I can tell you the only thing that I was pleased to see, because I've been waiting for this, is Loki being Loki. Like, when are you going to remind us all that Loki is a god and has godly powers and can do godly things? Like, when are you going to remind us of this? And then they reminded us in season 2, like, oh, okay. Like, through a whole season, Loki just been running around like nerfed. He's Loki. It's the name of the show. Can we get some Loki powers? And we got some Loki powers, so that was pretty cool. But it's really sciencey. It's really talky. I don't know. I don't know that season 2 is fulfilling our need, or at least my need, for something Marvel, since Secret Invasion didn't fulfill that need. So I don't know.
It's that one.
So yeah. Oh, so all right. We 20 past 10. We try to keep it 2 hours because we could go all night. I want to give you an opportunity to shout out to all the people. Definitely want to have you back. Appreciate you being here, kicking with us. We just did a random talk. We just went where it went. We obviously like to be organic. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we like to let the community weigh in, say some stuff. We're definitely going to address what the community says. In many cases, the topic flows in the direction that the community wants it to flow, unless we have specific topics. So that's what we did today. Just kind of getting our feet back in the water, bringing CSP back after a short hiatus. That having been said, Jay, I want to give you the floor. I want you to get some final words in, say what you want to say to the people, and then we're going to get up out of here.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me. Giving me the opportunity. Gave me a little something to do. I had the time mixed up. I was sitting here at 4:30. Supposed to be here at 6, but I'm good. But just keep doing what y'all do, man. And make sure y'all support the titles that I collect so y'all can drive up the demand.
The titles that you collect. There you go, being witty. So yeah, listen, it's been a while. We've been gone a while. We're back. We will be back every week. I'm gonna have different guests in. Definitely gonna have J Rob back. Enjoyed kicking it with J Rob. Enjoyed Sam Ferrato popping in. As always, and this is very important. Shout out to my Comic Sense community, crowd, crew. Y'all are dope. You know who you are. You're in the comments right now. You're actively participating. To those who are new, to those who have never seen what we do, I need you to like and follow Comic Sense on Facebook. Join our Comic Sense group. Follow our Comic Sense page. Find us on Instagram, Comic Sense on Instagram. Find us on Twitter. Go over to YouTube. Thumb up or thumb down this video. Go do that now. If you're watching on YouTube, we really appreciate you. Jump on over to the page, follow us. If you're watching on the page, yo, click the link, go over to YouTube, watch this video for 0.5 of a second, thumb it up, thumb it down. That's what it is. Y'all know what time it is. I am Issue X. This has been CSP, Comic Sensory Perception, and we're up out of here.